Hello and welcome to another audio analysis. In today's video we'll be taking a look at the track The Bitter End by the British alt-rock band Placebo. This was the first single to be released from their 2003 album Sleeping with Ghosts, which was also their fourth, and Placebo have been one of those bands that have always produced some very obscure music at times and have really stood out as being a certainly very unique band, but they were never a band that were able to achieve mainstream success. Certainly around that time in the mid-2000s when alt-rock was at its highest in the UK, they weren't able to really emulate the success of other bands, with this actually being one of their most successful to chart in the UK, coming in at number 12. And despite the track being written in just a couple of days and really having this love story, this bitter relationship styling, it does feel that much of the song was actually inspired by George Orwell's 1984. There's actually a few lyrics in the track that actually do seem to reference to the book and really tie it together with the story that is found within. So will this track potentially have a happy ending or just simply a bitter end? Let's take a look at exactly how it sounds. One thing I really do like about this track is just that gradual layered intro. It's something we saw quite a lot of over here in the UK around the early 2000s with this alt-rock scene that was beginning to rise and the rise of the indie scene as well, opening with this very stabby guitar, then bringing in the drums as well, just really quite thick, really quite progressive, and really just showing this upbeat pace from Steve Hewitt. Then we'd also have the very prominent bass line coming in from Stefan Oldstall, and whilst this song isn't going to see masses of change and experimentation, it is very steady. It's a song that was simply written in 2 days, and you can maybe see why it wasn't kind of quite over the top and quite flary compared to some of the other music that Placebo were releasing around the time, but it does really have that very steady pacing, which I do like. And we do have these two meanings coming in to the start of the track. Overall, it's going to revolve around this idea of a broken relationship reaching this bitter end, and it's this idea that you want to be the one escaping the relationship with the least amount of scars. Since we're feeling so anesthetized in our comfort zone, you kind of have no feeling for this other person in this area that you share anymore. And the reason it's also just in with George Orwell's 1984 is in the book it's kind of this idea of Big Brother's always watching, all your actions are kind of watched, and this idea of using alcohol and things like that to really subdue you. You can't have relationships and things like that. It's monitored by the love police and all sorts of things. I'm not going to explain the book too heavily if you haven't read it, but a lot of the things do really tie in with that. On the 2nd of May, which is actually when Winston and Julia, the two main characters in the book, did actually meet, so you can really see that coming in. We're kind of reminiscing on these points where you did have a good thing going in your relationship, but then it's kind of reflecting on the good past and then moving towards the point where you've accepted that things have gone wrong and you're trying to get to this bit, and this idea of see you there, kind of, you can see there's no teamwork going on. It's the idea of these two separate people that will come together to kind of have this bitter resolution to their relationship.
Every step we take that's synchronized. It's
Yeah, certainly quite a very short track, but there's so many more elements that do come in throughout that second verse. Every step we take that's synchronized, every broken bone, really showing this volatility that's been included in this relationship. And one of the lyrics that really is quite curious, this idea of showering me with lullabies, almost like one person trying to lure the other in to trap the other and really catch them off guard as you're walking away. So you're kind of showing one thing but doing another. So really leaving someone in this almost lulled state. Reminds me that it's killing time on this fateful day. The day's finally come to break that relationship off, to finally reach that end point that we do have. And as we do move further into the outro as well, we've also got the line, from the time we intercepted feels a lot like suicide. So we've known this relationship was doomed from the get-go. And again, referencing on George Orwell's 1984, it's this idea that they two characters kind of know when they eventually come to sleep together and things like that, that it's doomed from the start almost, because they'll live in a society that won't allow them to be together. So there's lots of kind of intertwining styles that we do have, not only from the book but also just from this generic idea of a relationship that's certainly very sour, slow and sad, grown inside us, arouse and see your mind. So you can really see this very much push and pull that's coming through as we do move through the outro. Love has seen you run around, who wanna seek you now. So you can almost just see this bitterness that's really coming in, and that quick delivery that we do have from Brian, really quite snappy, really showing this bitterness coming across in his vocal style. I want a piece, I'd wine out, see you at the bitter end. So you can really see this almost argumentative style that does come through, and really just kind of these two people that need to separate. That if 6 feet down, in 6 feet down, the mess you left will end. So you can really see the viciousness as well that has come through. This idea of getting to this end point, this idea of having to wait 6 weeks for something to end, because people often drag things out when it comes to relationships. So you can really see that being brought through as well. And it certainly is one of those songs that I really just, it stands out in Placebo's discography. It doesn't do anything particularly over the top, but it has some really curious elements. Certainly in the chorus as well, it doesn't have that more melodic style as they gradually drop it and then build it up with the keys and constantly adding the extra instruments, which I do find really interesting from the track. And it's something I think they did certainly very well. And they did really have, again, this very generic feel. There wasn't too much going on with the drums, the guitars and the bass. They were certainly very steady, but that was the kind of music that was making waves over here in the UK across the course of the 2000s. It was very simple. It wasn't really expansive. And they managed to do that by throwing a lot more layered elements into the background with the keys and some of the elements they did include to kind of flesh the song out a bit. But I do love the way that it kind of touches on this idea of this volatile relationship, but also ties it in with a very iconic book of George Orwell's In the Form of 1984. So that will be everything for today's video, but as always, feel free to let me know your thoughts about this track in the comments section below, or if you are a fan of Placebo, then be sure to let me know what your favourite track of theirs actually is. Going to be from any single album. There's certainly so much to choose from. Also, if you'd like to see more content like this, then please do feel free to subscribe, and I will see you in the next Dojo analysis.